My best friend thought she was in love with her mom's much older boyfriend until she got pregnant and everything fell apart. We had no choice but to expose their secret relationship and ruin his life before he vanished. You're pregnant by Ron? The words barely made it out of my mouth before I felt like I was going to throw up. Naomi didn't flinch. She just stared down at the floor of her bedroom where the blue glow of a digital pregnancy test blinked like a dying light. The silence between us wasn't just awkward, it was suffocating. Keep your voice down, she whispered, not even looking at me. No, I said, my voice rising despite myself. No, I will not keep my voice down. You're telling me you, Naomi, my best friend since middle school, are pregnant by your mom's boyfriend. The man who buys Metamucil in bulk and calls all our friends kiddo. She finally looked up then, and I swear it was like looking at a stranger. Naomi Bennett, freckled cheeks, oversized hoodie, fierce eyeliner that always smudged on the right side, looked older, exhausted, hollowed out in ways I didn't recognize. I love him, Claire, she said softly. I actually laughed. It was the only thing I could do to stop myself from screaming. Love him? Naomi, he's 49. You're barely 18. He's been dating your mom since, what, freshman year? 2.5 years, she replied, like that detail mattered. I can't, how did this even start? I demanded. She took a breath. It started a year ago. After mom's back surgery, he started spending more time around the house. Helping out. Driving me to school. We just clicked. My whole body went cold. So while your mom was recovering, you were sneaking around with her boyfriend? Don't say it like that. How else should I say it? I snapped. Naomi, he's practically your stepdad. She flinched at that, and part of me wanted to soften, but the rest of me was too stunned to care. Does your mom know? Naomi shook her head. No. No one knows. You're the first. Wow. Lucky me. There was a beat of silence, and then Naomi whispered, Claire, I need your help. My stomach twisted. With what? Hiding this. She nodded. Naomi, I can't, this isn't just some teenage mistake. This is a crime. You understand that, right? She stared at me and her lip quivered. I know it looks bad. But it's not like that. I wanted it. He didn't force me. That's not the point, I said. He's a grown man who watched you grow up. That's not love, Naomi. That's grooming. That word, grooming, hung between us like a foul stench. She didn't deny it. Didn't cry. Just looked tired. I need you, she said again, voice barely audible. I can't go through this alone. I looked around her room at the faded band posters and dusty cheer trophies. The walls still held the remnants of a childhood she'd just obliterated. Then I looked at her, really looked, and realized she wasn't the same girl I used to sneak out with to buy Slurpees and gossip about crushes. She'd crossed a line, and there was no going back. I took a breath and asked the only question that mattered. What are we going to do about Ron? I wish I could say I slept that night, but the truth is I didn't even try. I laid in bed, the ceiling fan buzzing overhead, replaying every conversation Naomi and I had ever had about Ron. How she used to roll her eyes when he called her kiddo. How she suddenly got weird about rides home. How she'd stop texting me during the evenings. Little moments that didn't mean anything back then. Until now. The next day at school, Naomi acted like nothing had happened. She slid into homeroom beside me with a neutral expression, her hoodie pulled up like armor. I watched her scribble in her planner like we weren't both carrying around the heaviest secret I've ever known. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I needed time to think. But the universe doesn't exactly wait around for your game plan. It happened 2 days later. After practice, I forgot my phone in the locker room and looped back through the East Wing, the wing that's always empty after hours. That's when I heard it. A voice deep, low, familiar. I turned the corner just in time to see them, Naomi and Ron arguing in hushed tones near the back exit. She looked upset, wringing her hands. He was standing a little too close. I told you I can't just disappear on her, he said. Your mom's not stupid. Naomi said something I couldn't hear. Then he stepped forward, touched her face. Not like a father figure. Like a boyfriend. And then they kissed. Not a long kiss. Not a passionate movie moment. Just a quick, practice kiss like they'd done it 100 times. Like it was normal. I ducked back behind the corner so fast I slammed into a locker. They didn't hear it. But my heart did, pounding so loud it drowned everything else out. I waited until they were gone. Then I stood there frozen. Cold. Disgusted. It was real. It wasn't just a mistake or some one-night disaster. They were in it. They were sneaking around. Lying. And Naomi had no idea how deep the quicksand really went. I could have pretended I didn't see it. Could have buried it and moved on like people do in movies when they don't want to get involved. But when I saw her the next day grinning over a snap filter of her smoothie, I knew I couldn't. I couldn't just let this happen. Not to her. Not to her mom. Not to me, honestly. I was drowning in the weight of a secret I never asked for. That's when I made my decision. I was going to confront Ron. I didn't tell Naomi what I was doing. I didn't trust her not to warn him. Instead, I waited until Saturday. Her mom had a shift at the clinic and Naomi had a weekend rehearsal for the fall play. I knew Ron would be home. He was always the type to hold down the fort while the women in his life worked. I showed up at their house at 2:17 p.m., palms sweating, phone in my jacket pocket recording. He opened the door with that usual smug smirk, the one that probably worked on cashiers and real estate agents. Hey, Claire. Naomi's not home. I'm not here for Naomi, I cut in, stepping inside before he could stop me. He blinked. Okay, what's this about? We stood in their living room, the same one where I used to crash during sleepovers. I could still see the old lava lamp Naomi and I broke in 7th grade. It hadn't changed, but everything else had. I know about you and Naomi, I said. His smile faltered for a second. Then he laughed, actually laughed. I'm not sure what she told you, but don't. I said it flat, final. Don't pretend. I saw you two outside school. I saw you kiss her. That wiped the grin off his face. He swallowed, then tried a new angle. Look, Claire, I get it, you're protective. That's good. That's what friends are for. But you don't understand the whole situation. Then explain it to me, I shot back. Explain how a grown man ends up knocking up his girlfriend's daughter. His mouth opened, closed again. No denial. Just silence. You used her, I said. You convinced her it was love when you knew damn well she was too young to see what you were doing. She's 18, he said finally, like that made it okay. Right? Barely. And you've been in her life since she was 16, Ron. He looked down. It just happened. No, it didn't. You made it happen, I said, voice shaking now. She's scared and confused and thinks this is some epic love story when really it's just you being a predator. That word landed hard. Predator. He took a step back, jaw clenched. So what, you gonna tell her mom? Ruin her life? I'm not the one who ruined anything, I snapped. But yes. Someone has to protect Naomi even if it's from herself. He stared at me and I could see it, the shift. The way he started calculating. Like maybe he finally realized I wasn't just a nosy teenager. I was a threat. I left before he could speak again. Slammed the door behind me and walked all the way home even though my legs felt like jelly. By the time I got there, the weight of what I'd done hit me like a truck. Naomi would never forgive me for this. But I had a choice, protect our friendship or protect her from a man who saw her as a secret. And now the countdown had started. Because once the truth came out, nothing would be the same. Naomi didn't speak to me for 3 days. Not a text. Not a side glance in class. Just silence, carved out and sharpened like a weapon. I knew she knew. I could see it in her eyes when she passed me in the hallway, no warmth, no softness. Just stone. By the time she finally confronted me, it wasn't a conversation. It was a storm. It happened after school, in the parking lot, just as the late sun started to drop behind the gym roof. I was unlocking my bike when I heard her voice, cold and shaking. You told my mom. I turned, heart pounding. Naomi stood 5 feet away, hoodie drawn tight, arms crossed over her chest like she was holding herself together. She deserved to know, I said, keeping my voice even. You had no right. No, Ron had no right, I shot back. You were 17 when it started, weren't you? Her lip trembled. She looked like she wanted to scream or cry or run. I trusted you. I was trying to protect you, I said, stepping toward her. You think this is about betrayal? Naomi, he was using you. She flinched and I softened. Your mom, she didn't yell. She didn't blame you. She blamed herself. Said she should have seen it. Naomi turned away, rubbing her arms like she was freezing. She kicked him out. I know. She said I can stay if I go to counseling. If I agree it was abuse. I paused. What do you think it was? She didn't answer. Just stood there, breathing hard. Then, without warning, she turned and walked away. No tears. No goodbye. Just the hollow sound of her footsteps disappearing behind me. That night, I got a call from her mom, Jenna. She thanked me quietly like she was ashamed to even need to say it. She said Ron denied everything at first, then admitted it after Jenna threatened to go to the police. I don't know what to do, she said. She's still defending him. She will for a while, I said. He made her believe it was love. There was a pause. She's pregnant, Claire. I didn't know that part until today. I closed my eyes. So it was real. Everything was real. And it was only going to get worse from here. It started with the missing backpack. Jenna called me that Monday evening, her voice tight and rushed. Naomi's gone, she said. She packed a bag while I was at work. Left a note saying she was safe and not to come looking for her. I didn't even have to guess. I knew exactly where she'd gone. Ron. The same man her mother had kicked out. The same man who had, for a solid week, been dodging the police and pretending this was all some tragic misunderstanding. Naomi had run straight into his arms like it was a romance movie. She thinks they're going to raise the baby together, Jenna whispered, devastated. She's convinced it's love. That I'm just jealous and trying to control her. And here's the part that gutted me the most. I understood. Not agreed. Not justified. But understood. Because Ron didn't just groom Naomi. He made her feel seen. Loved. Like she was special in a world where most people ignored her or called her weird or too intense. And now in her mind we were the villains. The jealous ones. The liars. By Wednesday, Naomi had blocked me on everything. Snapchat, Instagram, phone. Gone. Just a blank avatar in all the places she used to live. I heard through her cousin, who worked part-time at a coffee shop near Ron's new apartment, that she'd been showing up there with him. Glowing. Pregnant. Holding his hand like nothing was wrong. That was when I knew we couldn't just let this happen. Jenna filed a police report, but it wasn't enough. Naomi was technically a legal adult now, and unless they could prove coercion, there wasn't much they could do. But I had something else, receipts. Screenshots. Photos. Texts from months ago Naomi had sent me. Messages she thought were cute at the time, Ron calling her my secret girl, talking about sneaking around, even one where he mentioned can't wait until you're 18 and we don't have to hide. That one hit like a nail through the skull. I sent them all to Jenna. Told her to forward them to the detective assigned to the case. Told her to push hard. Because Naomi may not have seen it for what it was. But I did. And I wasn't going to sit by while Ron rebuilt his little fantasy world, with a baby no less as his crown jewel. It was Jenna's idea, not mine. I'm done playing quiet, she said, eyes red, fingers shaking as she held her phone. He's already turned her against me. I'm not going to let him rewrite the story. So we posted everything. Not a vague status or cryptic meme. No, we dropped a full, detailed timeline on Facebook. Jenna wrote the post. I helped format it, made sure the screenshots were clear, the dates aligned. She included the text Ron had sent Naomi when she was 17. The photos from her school dance where Ron drove her because mom was too tired. The one where his hand was resting just a little too low on her back. It wasn't an angry rant. It was calm. Controlled. Devastating. My daughter thinks she's in love, Jenna wrote. But this man knew her since she was 15. He's been grooming her for years under the nose of our family. And now she's pregnant. He is 49. She is barely 18. Please help us hold him accountable. The post exploded in 2 hours. People from school started sharing it. Local moms. Teachers. Even the PTA president commented, "This is horrifying. I always thought he was creepy, but I didn't know it was this bad." And then the real momentum hit. A local true crime blogger picked it up. By that night, it had over 40,000 views. Naomi's name wasn't mentioned. But Ron's was. That same night, the police came knocking. The digital trail we gave them was enough to reopen the investigation. The kicker? Ron fled. Left town with Naomi. Jenna didn't sleep for 48 hours. I barely ate. Every time my phone buzzed, I thought it would be news. An arrest. A sighting. Something. It came, finally, in the form of a DM. Naomi. She had made a burner account and messaged me. I can't believe you did this. You've ruined everything. He's not what you think. I stared at the message for a long time. I wanted to reply. Wanted to scream. But all I wrote was, "You can hate me. That's fine. But when this crashes, and it will, you'll need someone. I'll be here." No response. But the message was read. It was raining when Naomi showed up at my door. No warning. No text. No apology. Just her, soaked hoodie clinging to her shoulders, hair plastered to her face, standing like a ghost on my porch. My mom opened the door and gasped. "Naomi." I came running from upstairs, barefoot, heart already pounding. I froze when I saw her. She didn't look like Naomi. Not the Naomi I knew. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her lips chapped. She clutched her stomach with one arm and a trash bag full of clothes with the other. "He left," she said quietly. I didn't know what to say. My brain jumped between relief and heartbreak and something worse, guilt. Because even though I was glad she was back, I hated that this was how it had to happen. "Come in," I whispered. She stepped through the door like she wasn't sure she was allowed to. "He took me to a motel in Indiana," she said once we were in my room wrapped in blankets. Said we needed to start fresh. But it wasn't fresh. It was hell. I sat beside her on the bed. She stared at the wall like it was telling her secrets. "He wouldn't let me call anyone. Took my phone. Said people were trying to brainwash me. Then he found out about the Facebook post and lost it. Screamed at me for hours. Said I ruined his life. That I owed him. My throat closed up. I left when he went out to get beer. Took $100 from his wallet and walked to the bus station. She turned to me. Her voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything. Just reached out and pulled her into a hug. She sobbed into my shoulder, and I realized how small she still was. Not in age, but in everything else. In the way she curled into me like she was still 16, still safe. We didn't talk much more that night. But later, when she fell asleep, I lay awake thinking about what came next. Because this wasn't the end. Not even close. She was pregnant. Ron was still out there. And now the world knew. I had to ask myself the one question I'd been avoiding all along. Was I strong enough to keep showing up even if it meant watching her fall apart again? Naomi's return wasn't a clean break, it never is. For the first few days, she barely left my room. Ate toast. Slept a lot. Refused to talk about the baby. When Jenna came over, Naomi cried in her arms but couldn't bring herself to go home yet. So she stayed with us. My mom didn't even ask questions, she just moved heaven and earth to make space. But then, 3 days in, we got the call. Ron was arrested. Picked up in a motel outside Chicago, alone, drunk, and trying to buy a fake ID under the name James Keller. Some guy at the front desk recognized him from the online posts and tipped off the cops. Jenna called me from the courthouse, breathless. They got him. I didn't cheer. Neither did Naomi. We just sat in my room, eyes locked on the news alert glowing from my phone screen. Do you want to talk about it? I asked. She shook her head. Not yet. But something shifted. She started asking questions. Legal questions. About restraining orders. About whether the baby would ever know him. She started to wake up. The final blow came in the form of an envelope. A letter, handwritten, postmarked the day before his arrest. He must have mailed it thinking he'd outrun all of us. She opened it on my bed. It was full of delusion. Him saying he loved her. That the world didn't understand their bond. That once things calmed down, he'd come find her. You and the baby are my purpose, he wrote. Don't let them poison you. She read it twice. Quiet. Still. Then she handed it to me and said, burn it. We lit it in the kitchen sink. As the paper curled and turned to ash, she whispered, I was so stupid. No, I said. You were isolated. Manipulated. But not stupid. She nodded once. I don't want to be his victim, she said. Not forever. And for the first time since this all started, I believed she wouldn't be. Naomi moved back in with her mom the following week. It wasn't easy. There were moments where she nearly backed out, standing in the doorway with a garbage bag of clothes and panic behind her eyes. But she went in. Jenna welcomed her like a mother who'd already imagined the worst and was just grateful for the second chance. They started counseling together. Naomi met with a trauma therapist. And me? I stayed close, but not too close. I stopped trying to fix her. Just listened. The baby came 3 months later. A girl. Naomi named her June. She didn't put Ron's name on the birth certificate. There was no big reveal, no Facebook announcement. Just a quiet hospital room with her mom on one side, me on the other, and a nurse who gently whispered, you're doing amazing. Sometimes people ask if Naomi pressed charges. The answer is she didn't have to. The state picked up the case. Between the texts, the timeline, and Ron's attempt to flee, they had enough. He's serving time now. Not as much as he should, but enough. Naomi still doesn't talk about what happened much. Some things are too raw, too layered. But every once in a while, she'll say something like, it feels like I was in a cult of one, or he really made me believe I owed him everything. And I just nod. Because yay, that's exactly what he did. June's 5 months old now. Naomi is tired, but steady. She started taking classes online. Changed her hair. Deleted every photo of Ron from her past. She told me once, I don't want her to ever think she came from something dark. She came through it. That's different. The truth is, I don't know if she'll ever be fully okay. But I do know this, she's not alone. And sometimes that's what surviving looks like. Just sitting in the quiet after the storm, holding a baby who doesn't know how close she came to being someone's secret and deciding every day that she'll never be anyone's shame.